Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil karim amma ba'd. A'udzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome everyone to our 9th annual Ramadan workshop, and obviously welcome as the very first sisters who are using this part of the new building in Newcastle Central, alhamdulillah. So it was not my intention or plan to be down here, but subhanAllah, so many of you registered, I knew that we wouldn't fit in the old masjid. So the Imam said, look, Allah, you need to use the new masjid, inshallah. Those of you who come here for a long time know that Imam is feminist, alhamdulillah, he favors women and he says that we should have the best place of the masjid. So alhamdulillah, we are down here in this new part of the masjid. So I pray that Allah gathers us all, inshallah, in Jannatul Firdaus as he has gathered us here today, inshallah. So welcome, so it's special for both of us. So make sure, inshallah, that you just signed the register. Obviously, when we do the quiz, which is going to be the second part after we have the Asr break, and the children usually love taking part in the quiz. Obviously, adults take part in it as well. Then I just ask that you raise hands to answer questions. We'll also have questions happening throughout as well. So, inshallah, when you have questions answered. The only thing that is that because the masjid is still under construction, the toilets are actually upstairs. Ask any of the volunteers who signed you in, inshallah, they'll sign post you if you need to. But alhamdulillah, the masjid, this part of the masjid is, it was ready, so we're using it, and inshallah, make lots of dua because we are very close to completion, inshallah. Only in a few weeks' time we're going to be completely completed, especially the externals, inshallah. Okay. So, briefly, we are obviously here from Newcastle Central Mosque, but also there are some people new here, many of you never met me before, so I'm going to do a super quick introduction for those who haven't. So I'm Aisha Abdulhadi, so I am a trustee here at Newcastle Central Mosque, so I've been involved in the masjid since I got married and moved here. That's a very long time, maybe 10 years or more. Involved in the masjid, but being in Newcastle for over 20 years now, subhanAllah, very long. So I have been involved in the ladies' activities, the children's activities, the Eid activities, if you come to our Eid Salah, those kind of things. And then around COVID time, I made my own group called Pop of Parenting, so that's a video from my personal group. And in that group, we do a lot of activities again for women, for children. We're doing a really big sports project at the moment, I can part of that, alhamdulillah. So we do lots of community activities so that we can get, especially the Muslim community, engaged, and physically active and taking part in activities and stuff like that as well, alhamdulillah. And also, we are here today, inshallah, to learn something. So, keep your minds and your hearts open, inshallah, and have good intention that I'm here today to learn something, and that I will apply those learnings in Ramadan and after Ramadan. That's right, inshallah. So I'm going to really briefly tell you a little bit about passive versus active learning. Those of you who know me well, I'm from a psychology background and I throw in psychology wherever I can. So the reason we're doing some active learning is because if you look at the bottom of this triangle, it helps people generally remember through doing, not just, if you read something, 10% of it you might retain it. If you hear something, 20%. If you see something, 30%. But if you see and hear it, 50%, and then if you say it and write it and do it, it increases all the way here. So that's why I ask if you can, if you've got a notebook and pen, make notes. Make the intention that, whatever I learned here today, even if it's one thing, I'll go home and teach somebody else, inshallah. Whether that's someone in your family or your friends, whoever it is, so that you remember the knowledge. Whether they, take that away or implement it, that's up to them. But inshallah, at least you'll have done your part. And then the learning pyramid as well tells you that, when you teach other people, so not just listening and reading and writing, but when you actually practice and then teach that to other people, you're more likely to remember it, inshallah. Okay, so let's move on to Ramadan, inshallah. may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to enter Ramadan in the most prepared manner, inshallah, and get the most out of it as well, inshallah. So let's start with this hadith. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned the benefits of Ramadan. A blessed month has come. Allah has required you to fast it. During it, the doors of paradise are open, the doors of hell are closed, and the devils are chained. There's a night better than 1,000 months. And whoever misses its benefit has surely been deprived. So, the first and foremost thing to note here, sisters, whenever you want to do something really well, like if you're going for a job interview, or for those of you who are the young generation who are students and you're revising for your exams, you put all your effort into it if you really want to pass it or if you really want to get that thing. And that's the same way in which we should approach Ramadan. There's a few different kinds of groups of people when it comes to Ramadan. There's those who treat it like any other month, okay? So they make no difference to their lives. So Ramadan for them is the same as any other month. There's those people who might do a few different things because they're copying other people. Okay, somebody else is doing everything, or maybe I should do that as well. But not really because they want to. And then there's those people who get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. Okay, and those people who maximize the benefit from that month, inshallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised the month of Ramadan out of all the other months by choosing it to send down the glorious Quran and the other books as well, which were also revealed during that month. That's just a very popping glory. And in terms of the fasting, in Surah Baqarah, Allah says, "O you who have believed, decreed upon you is fasting, as it was decreed upon those before you, so that you may become righteous." So, when, especially children, when your friends at school and people ask you, why do you fast? It's not to keep away from food and drink. That is what we do when we fast. That's not why we fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need you to stay away from your food and your drink. It is so we can become righteous, we can have piety, we can have consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can have taqwa, we can feel that feeling that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us. You know when you have the opportunity to do right from wrong, but you don't do the wrong thing, even though you can, because maybe you're alone, nobody's watching you. But from inside you have that feeling that I shouldn't be doing this because it's not right, it's morally wrong. And what we should be doing as Muslims is trying to build up our taqwa as much as we can, inshallah, and teaching it to our children. Especially, I'm saying this as a mom, and subhanAllah, I absolutely love when children come to my events. Children are always welcome to my events. So, especially the moms, protect your children and instill this taqwa inside them. And the best way is if you have it yourself and they copy from modeling behavior, right, psychologically, rather than just sending them somewhere else to learn it and then they think they're going to come back and they're going to apply it. If you make lots of dua and you're showing the same behaviors and you want to see it, then inshallah Allah will make it easy for you. So before we enter Ramadan, have a conversation with them on the way to school or a few days before, or when you're getting, you've got your iftar ready, you're getting ready to open the fast. And subhanAllah, it is so impressive that so many of our children want to fast, they choose to fast, subhanAllah. So they're already, showing those signs. So inshallah, if we can just put some explanation behind it as well, then we can maximize the learning for them. So the purpose of fasting is to purify ourselves, to mend our hearts, and not just to keep away from the food and drink part of it. And it's obligated upon us as well. Okay, so whoever gives sight to the present and the first night of the month of Ramadan, you must observe some fasting that month. So it's something that's been obligated upon us. But if you're ill or you're on a journey and you didn't make the fast, then you make up for it with the other days. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah intends for you ease. He does not want to make things difficult for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed these people out of His mercy and to make it easy for them to break the fast when they are ill or when they are traveling. But the fast is still obligatory on the healthy persons who aren't. And then, of course, people can make up for it afterwards. So we know why we fast. What are some of the virtues behind fasting? Okay? It's mentioned in the hadith that fasting is a shield and a strong fortress in order to save yourself from the Jahannam. Same way, if somebody was going to attack you, you would not stand there like a lemon. You would do something like to stop them from attacking you. And in the old days, if there was a castle, there's a fort, you would stand there and protect that with everything you've got. So in the same way, use it as a shield that's protecting you from Jahannam. And when you fast, subhanAllah, the power of committing sins gets weak. Okay, so that urge you might have to do those sins, because you think twice, you think yourself, I'm fasting. And subhanAllah, we see this, because sometimes you see people, when they're fasting, they stop doing other things as well, that normally maybe they would do in other days, but they say, no, it's because I'm fasting. So you have that sort of level of awareness. So when a person fasts in the proper manner and implements all the etiquettes of fasting, you're freeing yourself from the sins and getting yourself salvation from the hellfire. So fasting is a shield as long as it's not destroyed by lies and by backbiting. Obviously, try and abstain from this on a normal day, but more so when you're fasting. And especially sisters, when as moms, you're absolutely exhausted and you're sleep deprived when it gets to like after the first week, isn't it? And then your kids are being kids, mashallah, and then you're tired, and then it's very easy to get angry and upset and riled up. And I see this sometimes when you come to, for example, the Tarawih prayers, and you see sisters having like squabbles or arguing over the littlest mundane things. And I think, subhanAllah, those are not sisters who normally would do that, but maybe because of the fasting, they're tired and they're irritated and they haven't slept. Just be patient, inshallah. Just be patient and just be the better person. And I say this every year, just walk away if that's better for you than engage in a conversation that, it's going to lead to argument, so it's not going to be beneficial to anybody. So if a person approaches you in an ignorant way, don't reply to them in the same ignorant manner, don't address them respectfully. Say to them, An-Nasa'im of the females, An-Nasa'im, I'm fasting, and walk away. That's better for you. And that is there because, like I said, it's human nature. You do get angry sometimes, you do get upset, you do get emotional, and if you're in a set of fasting, might be there, you feel a bit more likely about happening. And then the smell that comes from the mouth, obviously when you're fasting. However, this fragrance is more beloved in the sight of Allah SWT than the fragrance of musk or perfume. Especially children, don't feel bad if you smell a bit breathy in fasting. If you can use it as well, but if you if you're conscious of that, think that Allah SWT, this is the best smell and the reward is with Allah SWT, inshallah. So don't be too self-conscious about that. At the time of opening the fast, subhanAllah, it's an excellent time to make dua. And this is the time normally when we are running mad dash in the kitchen, getting the samosa and the pakode out, getting the halim on the table, getting the children's different meals, subhanAllah. And why is it that in Ramadan we feel bad, like, subhanAllah, our children are fasting, that's great form of ibadah. I feel like people make double or triple what they normally make on a normal day, because you feel like I should be making something extravagant every day. And if that's normal for you, that's fine. But if that means it's taken away from that time in which you could be making dua because you're making an extra 2-3 dishes, then ask yourself, what's the purpose behind it? Is it just to feed the kids? The kids will be happy anyway. Don't even option of making 3, 4, 5 things. Just make 1 thing or 2 things, and you run. If you are in the kitchen and you're getting to the iftar table and someone's shouting to you, 1 minute left, it's open, grab the dates, then you wasted those valuable times in which the dua could be answered. And I guarantee there's not one person here who has got some sort of issue going on that they would love Allah SWT to answer the dua for them, right? Because everybody has things going on in their life. Everyone makes du'as continuously for themselves, for the children, for different things that might be going on in your life. So don't waste those valuable 5-10 minutes. Think about the time and think, how can I save time? Where can I save time? Am I going to cook something less? Am I going to go in the kitchen beforehand? That's really important to not waste that time, inshallah. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, addressed 2 people saying you should fast because fasting is a shield, in order to save you from the hell, in order to save yourself from the difficulties of time as well. It's very rewardable to feed a fasting person as well, and subhanAllah, Allah SWT is so merciful. If you feed and provide food for somebody else who's fasting, so you get your reward and you get their reward as well, but even if it's a simple or insignificant meal, right? You don't just think I need to make a whole extravagant meal for them, even if it's something. And it doesn't decrease the reward of the fasting person either. I mean, you get less, alhamdulillah. So it's a rewardable act to do that as well. Allah SWT multiplies the rewards of His servants by 10 times up to 700 times. This is for ordinary deeds, except fasting. Except fasting, there is no limit for the reward, because Allah SWT says, subhanAllah, it is for me alone, and I give the reward for it. So for that one, we don't know how much reward a person can get, subhanAllah. So it's a strenuous thing to do it, but the reward is with Allah SWT. And then if you think of the doors of Jannah, there is one door called Ar-Rayyan, and on the day of resurrection it will be said, where are those who fasted? And when the last of them has entered, the door will be closed. So this is a special door for those of you, the Muslims who get VIP treatment, who are especially used to fast. So that's one of the other virtues of fasting. However, as with any good deed, as I've already mentioned, it only comes into effect if we abstain from doing the bad things at the same time as doing the good thing. Okay? So, abstain from speaking lies, backbite, other sins. So, for example, some people miss all of their five salah in Ramadan, but then they come to the masjid for Taraweeh. SubhanAllah, they miss the other salah which are fell upon you. So think about that, because then you're depriving yourself of the fast, the full reward of the fast. So don't do a good deed in Islam at the expense of leaving out something else, especially if that something else is smaller than you were supposed to do it anyway. And then it specifically mentions things like your lies, your backbiting, your argument, fighting, and the other sins that happen. And like I said, if you are in a situation where you witness that happening, you not advise people to stop doing it. They're not going to listen, just walk away. But walk away and don't get yourselves involved in it. And by reading this hadith I've just mentioned, don't have the misconception that fasting is more virtuous salah, because salah is the most virtuous of all the different acts of ibadah. So I'm not saying that fasting is better than doing salah. Salah is a obligatory promise, you should be doing that every day, inshallah. Okay, so quick quiz question just to wake everybody up a little bit. Okay, so you have to put your hand up if you know the answer. What facts about the month of Ramadan have been related by hadith in regards to what takes place in heaven and in hell in Ramadan? One, Hadia.
The gates of hell are closed.
Yeah. Super, right. I need to, for those who come to the front to do the sweet stuff, please. See you, children? Hadia gets a lollipop. Good, Hadia. The gates of heaven are open and the gates of hell are closed. Okay, the angel Jibreel used to bring revelation to the beloved Prophet ﷺ, but in the month of Ramadan, he visited him for another specific purpose. What was that? What's your name? Naila. Inaya, go and shout it out.
To give me Quran.
Let's see. I'll give it to you to recite to him the Quran. Inaya at the front. Well done, Inaya. Are you ready for the next one, children? There's only not that many lollipops. This is the days other than in Ramadan and Muslims fast. Be a hand if you think you know. Right, go on, girl in the black coat. Shout your name out. What's your name? Aya. Right, go on then. Just give me one. Monday. Shall we give it to her? That's half the answer.
I think the white days.
She said the white days, yes. Yeah, the white days. There's somebody at the back picture of, was it you? Anita said Friday, no, not Friday. Any of the days in the year when you fast, the girl with the brown hijab, Arafa, Yom Arafa, good with the brown hijab. And Anna, you don't. Okay, anyone else?
Shawwal.
Shawwal, who said Shawwal? Auntie. Auntie said Shawwal, Auntie gets a lollipop. How many days Auntie in Shawwal? 6 days. 6 days. You say 6 days, fine. Well done. See, even Auntie got a lollipop. Ashura, they did the Quran good. Have you said them all? Yes. Yes. Have you said all of them? The girl who said Monday, who said Monday? Okay. There's another day as well. We already said Monday. Did you give it to her? Monday again? Khalida, what's your answer? Monday, Thursday. You give Khalida one. I think it's all of them. Did I miss any? There, somebody said there about but well done. Very good. The knowledge should Someone said, yeah. But good. Okay. Here we go. I think I got all of them out there. Okay. Okay, back to the lecture. Now let's talk a little bit about Ramadan being the month of the Quran, inshallah. Okay? So who was here yesterday in the khutbah? Not that Asma was here. Someone else was here. Who's not here? Okay. So the Imam did a whole khutbah on the importance of reading Quran and how to make that a priority in our life, especially with Ramadan coming. And Ramadan is the month of the Quran. And let's read a few hadiths. The Messenger of Allah is the most generous of people, and he's the most generous ever during Ramadan. When the angel Jibreel would meet him, he'd meet him every night in Ramadan and review the Quran with him. Then he was more generous than a swift, far-reaching breeze. And each year during Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ reviewed all that had been revealed to him today with Jibreel alayhi salam. And in the year before Rasulullah passed away, he actually did this twice. Okay, reviewed the whole Quran. So first of all, the Quran is a guidance for mankind with clear clues for the guidance and the criteria between right and wrong. So it's a guidance for our hearts, for people who believe in it. And it's got clear proofs in it as well. For those people who want to understand the proofs, for those people who want to take heed of them, it's there, okay? And we should make it a priority in our lives, as Imam was mentioning yesterday. And for those of you who might struggle, you might say, I'm either relearned Islam, or you might say, I learned reading Quran in a different way. I know this because those of you know, I used to do the Saturday class in the masjid, Saturdays at 4 o'clock upstairs, remember? So I did that class now for over 10 years, and a lot of the ladies were like a bit older in age, when they started reading Quran, and I said that's absolutely fine. It is better to learn now than to never learn and leave the dunya, not having learned. And we used to teach the ladies, and they used to start from the Quran ayah, and then finish the ayah, and then start Quran. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it at any age. And the Prophet ﷺ said, verily, the one who recites the Quran beautifully, smoothly, and precisely, he will be in the company of the noble and obedient angels. And as the Quran recites with difficulty, stammering, or stumbling through its verses, then he will have twice that reward. So, don't ever think to yourself that I'm struggling and it's taking me time and it's taking me effort to read. When subhanAllah, you have double the reward because of your effort. You have less reward, subhanAllah, because you're struggling to do that. So it is never too late to learn the Quran. It's definitely never too late to learn the meaning of the Quran. And I was going to say that, most people have a target that I'm going to finish the Quran, I'm going to finish it once, I'm going to finish it twice. It's obviously more than one to do it. I would encourage and ask all of you to think about reading the meaning alongside the Quran. Okay, you listen to the Quran, and when sometimes it's reading in a specific way, but it's narrating the stories, and subhanAllah, if even just that day, because I know some people do this, they in advance of the Quran, they check out which surah is going to be recited today, and then they read it at home like tafsir the meaning to it, so that when you are in your salah, subhanAllah, imagine like your concentration would improve, and then you can think about other ayahs about Jannah, other ayahs about Jahannam, other ayahs about stories, subhanAllah, and this is a different experience to your salah. You get more connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you are thinking about what's being recited. So don't just think about reading the Quran, think about reading the tafsir of the Quran as well, the meaning of the Quran, and nobody has an excuse. You have the internet, you have books, you have everything being said, alhamdulillah. So just, get a translation and read the meaning as well as reading the Quran, inshallah. And make a proper plan, which we're going to do today at the end anyway. Okay. So some benefits of reading the Quran. First and foremost, it fulfills an Islamic duty. As Muslims, it's your duty to read the Quran and to understand the Quran, obviously. Because you know for yourselves then what's right, what's wrong. Instead of relying on other people who might be right or wrong to advise you, inshallah. You know some stuff yourself. The Quran will be approved for us on the day of judgment. The Quran will intercede for us on the day of judgment. Your status in the dunya will be raised, and you will become the best people. And subhanAllah, there are 10 rewards for each letter you recite from the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I'm not saying Alif Lam Mim is one set together that gives you reward, rather I'm saying the harf of Alif gives you 10 rewards, the Lam gives you at least 10 rewards, and the Mim gives you at least 10 rewards, subhanAllah. So for each letter, so then imagine if you put some proper planning and effort into reading and understanding it, what the reward could be. Okay. The other thing that you can do, I'm not going to do this as an exercise, I did used to in the past years, is thinking about the azkar, glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the morning and the evening, because as moms and as women might be busy, sometimes you might sit down in the evening or when you are free to read the Quran. But the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can do anytime, sisters. Not saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, saying your istighfar, whilst you're driving, whilst you're doing the school run, whilst you're cooking. Think of all the times, especially when you're in a state of fasting. You don't need to be on the phone and talking to people. Just cut those things out. You don't need to do extra things that involving, you're talking. Just don't do that and spend that time doing adhkar if you're doing something else. So if you're doing something else and you say, I can't sit down and read Quran right now, think, what else can I do? What else can I do instead? And I say the school run because that's the time that everybody does it, because twice a day you're going to school, come back from school. Your cooking time in the evenings. So use those times to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to make as much adhkar for yourself as well, inshallah. That's also super important. Oh, we've got some more quiz questions. Are we ready? What are the names of the months before and after Ramadan? Go right at the back, your hand went up first. What's your name? Stand up. I can't see you, but I did see your hand shoot up. Come forward, so I can hear you. Come forward, come forward. I'll put your hands on. Right. Stop there. Right. Nice and loud in the months before and after Ramadan. Yes. And the one after? The one after? Super. What's your name? Madiha. Madia. Okay. Well, then Madia needs a lollipop. There should be another bag somewhere. Okay. Well done, Madia. Right. Are we ready? Wait till the slides run up. Yes. Okay. Those are the previous answers. Well done. Oh, there's another question. The question is just pop up as and when. So when they pop up, we'll do it again. And don't forget. Afterwards, at the end, we're going to do a proper quiz, inshallah. Okay, so what we're going to do now, before Salah time, is some Ramadan target setting. And I want you to think about the deeds. Okay, moms, you want to do this separately, and children are going to do this separately. Okay, you can discuss it with them. The best deeds are consistent, even if they're small, even if you've got a little child, or even if yourself, you feel like I can't do a lot in Ramadan. Think about what's the one thing that I can do every day for 30 days. The reason I'm saying that, sisters, is so many people, you start off Ramadan full of energy, full of iman, you do loads in the first couple of days, and then you get really tired and exhausted and then everything stops. Okay? Better than that is you do something small, but you do it every day. So you get the rewards and the deeds that continue throughout the month of Ramadan, inshallah. Always have good intention. Actions are based on intention. Always have good intention that I'm doing this to seek reward from Allah Ta'ala. I'm not doing it to show off. I'm not doing it to compete with somebody else. I'm just going to do it so I can do the best that I can in Ramadan. And set yourself a smart goal. Let me see if I've got a definition of smart goals. Yeah. So when I say smart goals, those of you who watch my podcast or in those talks, I always talk about smart goals. So being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. Okay, so those goals have to be specific to you. They have to be measurable, so you can measure them at the end. They have to be attainable, relevant, and you have to set yourself a time. So for example, I'll do one together with you now. If you are saying, I'm going to finish the Quran, like most people, they want to do that. How many times do you want to finish it? You know how fast you read. Go on and find it. Shout out your target.
I want to read it
5, mashallah. That's not 5 times. Inshallah, may Allah help you to fulfill your target. So, if you want to read it, say once, then you have to say to yourself, how many juz am I going to read a day? How many am I going to do? One a day. But maybe I want to finish 2 times. Then how many juz a day? 2. So you have to know what is my target, and by the 30 days, inshallah, with my lead time, what have I completed? Don't just say, I'll see how I feel on Monday. Let me just see on Monday if I'm free and I'll finish everything. I'll pick up the Quran and I'll see what I can do. Because you won't do it because you haven't told your brain that you're going to do it and what is the plan to do it with. Okay? Or maybe you'll say that after 1 week, I will have done this much tafsir or something, something that's relevant to you and that you can do it. So, if you've got a pen and paper, ladies, even if you haven't, just discuss it with the person next to you. Think of 3 goals for yourself and how you are going to achieve them. So that might be reading Quran, might be just fasting, might be just doing some tafsir, maybe doing some more adhkar. Tell the person next to you what are your 3 goals and what are they specific. I don't want you to say I'm going to read Quran. Say every day, inshallah, I will read. After Fajr Salah, 2 pages of Quran, or after Maghrib, after Iftar, or after Tarawih. Maybe you want to attend Tarawih, so you only come on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Tell the person next to you, inshallah, what your plan is. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay, did anybody tell the person next to them? Their targets? Does anybody want to share their targets? Yeah, you can come on, sign up. You just start there if you don't want to come to the camera. You can stand up where you are. Right, what's your name?
My name's Sanya.
Okay, that's Sonia, mashallah. What's your target? How old are you?
I'm 10 years old.
MashaAllah. She's only 10 years old, right? Well, I can see a lovely smile, MashaAllah. Well,
So my target is to pass at least 20 days.
yes.
So and on those 20 days, even on school days, to try like read a lot of Quran, at least one juz each day.
Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah. So she wants to pass 20 days when she goes to school and she wants to finish the Quran once and read one book just a day. I hope, inshallah, Allah helps you to finish your target, inshallah. Okay, anybody else? Right, go on then. Are you two sisters? MashaAllah. Right, go on then, stand up. What's your name again? Inaya. How old are you? Are you the little sister?
I'm 8.
Yeah, I knew you were the younger sister, you know why? Because the first ones, mashallah, the sensible, the quiet ones, the second ones was the second, they're like a bit more, pizzazz and mashallah. Right, go on then.
Okay, my dream is to learn the Quran and at least do it 2 times. Finish the Quran 2 times and fast it when I'm older, like 13 or 12, to fast 30 days.
MashaAllah, quwwata. So she said when she's a bit older, she wants to fast all the fasts when she's 12, 13, and she wants to read the Quran. I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes all of our children on the skies, mashallah, such lovely targets. Right, go on, Khanita. How old are you, Khanita? 10. I should know this because Khanita comes to our swimming group every single week, and they must think that I don't know their names. But mashallah, it took me like months to learn everyone's names, even though I see them every week, but alhamdulillah. I know you got your face, Khanita, alhamdulillah. Go on then. MashaAllah, she wants to be all in namaz and she wants to fast for a specific number of days. I'll agree with your target. Well done, Martha. Anybody last answer? Well, then you start, and then you can do after, okay?
Fast 30 days, 35 times a day, and at least 30 pages of Quran.
MashaAllah. Lovely targets, Yusra. And then go ahead and put up Yusra. Well, then, what's your name? Martha, right, go on then. How old are you? 11, mashallah, go on then. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. I feel like all of the girls are like 8, 9, 10, 11, mashallah. That means the girls of that age are like superheroes today, subhanAllah. They answer the questions and they're stood up. Good for you, mashallah. Well done. I hope Allah subhanahu makes it easy for you guys to, your sisters, to achieve your targets. And, become the corners of your eyes for your mothers as well, inshallah, for your parents. Okay, that's great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break for Asr Salah. There is some snacks on the table, and I have to say to the Imam that I always have proper food in all my events, mashallah. I've never had an event without having like hot rice and food. So this is the first time because we're in a brand new building, and the project manager looked at me yesterday and he said, no food, Aisha, no food in the new masjid. And I said to him, it doesn't feel like one of my events if I don't have something, and then the children will be sitting there for that long. So I'm going to say, we're going to stop for Salah, and then we are going to do a quiz with the children, inshallah. And then I'll ask the volunteers if the children do want a snack, and the parents are going to make sure it's not going to go on the carpet, inshallah, there's not a snack and drink of water. Then we get a bit more energy to do the quiz, inshallah, together. So we will start now, because I don't think the speaker here is connected to the main masjid. I think they prayed Asr Salah in the main masjid. So we will pray here now, inshallah. If you're not praying, obviously just go to the side. And then after that, we will resume. These are just my links. So those of you who know, I have a podcast that I do every week. There's a sheet at the back if you want to put your name, because I won't send the link on that. Otherwise, you can just watch it on my YouTube channel. We are streaming today's event, which is live on the channel as well, inshallah. So, yeah. And if you like social media, you can tag me on Instagram and take any pictures today, inshallah. I will reply to you. But otherwise, we will start here for a little break. So, yeah, inshallah.